This is Grocery Dad, and I'm about to share 7 sneaky tactics the grocery stores use to get you spending more. Anyone who buys groceries for themselves or for their family, which I assume is most of you, needs to be aware of this stuff, because I guarantee you are going to come across some of them at some point. If you're in your 20s, maybe you're just starting grocery shopping for yourself and you probably never come across any of this stuff before. Maybe you're in your 30s, you might have a family now, and suddenly you need to take this shit a bit more seriously and start looking after your dollars and your cents. Or perhaps you're in your 40s or over. You should probably be aware of this stuff because you've been around long enough, but hey, it's never too late to learn or brush up a little. Now, these are real tactics, not any kind of conspiracy theory bullshit. And I've seen companies all over the world using them during my 20 years in the grocery industry. So from end caps or end of aisle offers to eye level pricing and shrinkflation, this is how they play you, folks. Now, I'm going to score each tactic based on how cynical and sneaky it is, as well as how hard it is for us as shoppers to spot what's going on. So you'll get, it's kind of a ranking. I suppose you could call it a sneakometer. And that way you'll know exactly what you should be most frightened and anxious. No, I'm just kidding. There's no need for either of those things. And that's what this is all about. The whole purpose is to give you confidence and help put you in control so you get to keep more of your money where it belongs. So here we go with tricky tactic number 1 on today's sneaky grocer's to-do list. All right, first up, people, the end caps, as you beautiful American viewers call them. Now, these are those big ass displays at the end of the aisles with massive banners all over them saying stuff like half price or prices down or something similar, designed to catch your attention. And they probably will catch your attention because they tend also to be very bright and very colourful. And they're very convenient, which is also part of this tactic. The grocers know you don't want to be traipsing up and down every single aisle looking for the stuff you want. So they're basically saying, look how easy we've made this for you. All you have to do is grab some of this stuff off the ends of the aisles. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the catch, because not everything on that end cap is necessarily the best deal in that particular category, nor the best deal for you. So your strategy here ought to be this: to check out the end cap prices, absolutely, but then go to where that kind of product sits in the aisles. Have a look at what else is available across the whole range in that category, and then, and only then, decide what goes into your basket. So our first sneak score today is, well, it's really not all that sneaky, to be honest. A deal sometimes is a deal, and it could be good for someone. So I'm giving this one a 4 for sneakiness. And as for spotting it, well, that's not too hard either, really. Whole point is supposed to be obvious. As long as you're not being ultra freaking lazy, just go down the aisles and you'll see what else they have on offer. So we'll go with a 4 for that as well, giving us a total sneakometer score of 8 out of 20 for end cap deals. Okay, on to number 2 in our list, and that's eye-level pricing. So let's say you've gone down the aisle to fact-check that in-your-face end cap display. What are you going to be looking at? Well, most of us are going to be looking at the 1 or 2 shelves that are right in front of our face at eye level. So generally speaking, around about 5 foot or so off the ground. Bit more, bit less, depending on how tall you are. Now, once again, grocery stores know this, so that's typically where they put the more expensive brand name products that they want you to buy. Once again, they're preying on your desire for convenience, or to put it another way, your utter laziness, because they also know that most people are unlikely to go to the huge effort of bending down to inspect the lower shelves. And if they did, that's where they'd find they keep the cheaper products, such as their own brands. And that is the simple as shit answer to this one, folks. Instead of blindly grabbing the thing that's right in front of your face because it's easy to reach, bend over and don't be too proud to get in touch with what's down around the floor level. If you happen to have bad knees, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone. You may just want to consider shopping with a friend who has better mobility in their knee joints. So for cynicism, well, that's got to be low, really. It's just common sense. If I was putting stuff on shelves, I'd want to put the best selling, highest margin stuff in the best possible position. So 2 out of 10 there. And as far as detection's concerned, yeah, as cover-ups go, it's not exactly JFK, is it? In fact, the answer's about 3 feet away from your face. So 2 out of 10 there. And that gives us 4 out of 20 overall. Pull yourself together and get on with it. Here's number 3 on our list today, and that's shrinkflation. This one is pretty darn sneaky, to be fair. Shrinkflation, of course, is when they make the product smaller and they either keep the price the same or bump it up. Either way, that is some sneaky shit, right? Now, usually, they'll shave maybe 5 grams off here, 10 grams off there, and try to keep it all kind of under the radar. So you've got to give it to someone in manufacturing. When they say, no, I reject the tactics of stealth. We're going to be upfront with our customers about the fact we're charging them more for less. And that's exactly what the good people of Toblerone did in the UK. I don't know if you have Toblerone in the US, folks. In the comments, please, if you can educate me on that. But quite clearly, the ratio of peaks to valleys was adjusted in a somewhat brazen way that everyone noticed, and that didn't last for very long, thank goodness. However, in most cases, it is a little harder to spot. So you might keep an eye on the net weight of the products you buy. Difficult, admittedly, across a whole cart full of goods. You definitely can compare unit prices, see if you can spot any changes that aren't working for you. And you can go a step further, I guess, by checking out your local consumer watchdog website, because they often publish examples of shrinkflation that other shoppers have sent in. So is it sneaky? Yeah, it's really freaking sneaky. There's no mention of it from the people doing it. There's no upside for you. I guess in their marginal defense, it's generally the manufacturers, not the retailers, who do this stuff. But I guess also you could say, if they wanted to, grocery stores could call it out in some way and be a bit more transparent about the whole thing. So I'm sticking with a pretty high score for deceit. We'll go 7 out of 10, and it's pretty bloody hard to detect at all. 8 for that. I mean, honestly, who's going around tracking the weight of the groceries they buy every week? Best bet is comparing unit prices and just being prepared to switch brands if and when you need to. Total score then, 15 out of 20. Now, number 4 on the list of grocery stores' sneaky tactics to get you spending more is the checkout aisle, otherwise known as all those snacks and treats and drinks in and around the checkouts, specifically designed to catch you when you're at your weakest, in other words, at the end of your shopping trip, by which time you're probably fed up, tired, bored of looking at food instead of eating it, and now you're surrounded by candy bars and gum and bloody Mr. Beast Feastables and God knows what else. Most likely not the cheapest stuff in the store either. However, there is a fairly simple answer to this one, and that is just don't freaking buy it. Simple as that. Keep your hands away from it and really you'll be fine. In addition, please remember, whenever possible, do not go shopping with your children, okay? Leave them at home, because there is a strong likelihood that if you do, when you arrive at the checkout aisle, you're going to get a bunch of pestering, and that's going to make it much more likely that you cave in for an easy life. So for scores, I'm giving this one a 5 for sneakiness. It's fairly blatant, to be fair, but it does also play on some reasonably cunning psychology. As for detection, well, it's a 1 for me. It's in plain view, there's nothing hidden about it at all, so stay strong, people. If you've done a good job with the rest of your shopping, let that be reward enough without sticking crap into your cart at the last minute that you blatantly don't need. Now, before we get on with the sneaky tactics, don't forget number 6 is a real doozy you're going to want to stick around for. Have you come across other sneaky, devious, money-grabbing ploys in your local grocery store? I bet you have. So go ahead and tell the world all about them in the comments of this video, and that way everyone else will know what to look out for, and you'll be doing your bit to help regular folks just like you keep more dollars in their pockets. All right, let's get back to the list. On we go to number 5, multi-buys. Now, you may look at that and go, what the hell are you on about? Those deals are awesome. Buy 2, save some money. What could possibly be sneaky about that? And I would tend to agree, generally. At face value, multi-buys do look like they would be great value and a good deal. But there are 2 important provisos. Number 1 is that the saving justifies the incremental spend. In other words, if you're buying 2 of whatever it is, like 2 packs of mints or 2 tubs of yogurt or whatever, and you're saving, say, 5 or 6% on the regular price, you've really got to be asking yourself, is that actually worth it? And the answer to that hinges largely on proviso number 2, which is that you need or will use 2 of whatever it is and not just wind up throwing one of them in the trash. Because let's be really clear about this for a moment. If the price was, say, $2.60 for one item every other week of the year, and you just paid $5 for 2 because they said it was on special, if you only wanted 1, you haven't saved 20 cents. You've spent an extra $2.40 if you didn't need to in the first place. So, like a lot of things on this list, you've got to be switched on. You've got to be clear what you're there for. And you've got to have a reasonable degree of suspicion as you conduct your weekly shop, and not assume blindly that a deal is a deal is a deal, or that all grocery stores have your back. They might in certain instances, but then again, there's a decent chance that they don't. So a 5 for sneakiness on this one, and I'm going with a 4 for detection, because you will have to do a bit of reading off the shelf ticket to work this one out, but the information is there, or at least it should be there, so you can do it. Okay, I promised you a corker for number 6, and it is, folks, because it's pumping up prices just before a promotion. Now, where I live, this one blew up recently because the competition authorities here said they'd collected evidence, the 2 major retailers, hiking prices just before advertising products as being reduced. The thing about it is the reduced prices say the competition people, were either the same or higher than the pre-inflated or original levels. And this apparently was going on across hundreds of products for many, many months. Sneaky AF. Now, there's really not a lot you can do about this as a shopper, because it's very unlikely you would have been tracking to that extent a product's price in the weeks and months leading up to it being on promotion. Maybe you might have done here and there, but unlikely across everything that you buy week in, week out. So it's a bit like shrinkflation in that sense, only worse, of course, because here they're actively trying to make out that they're cutting you a good deal, when in actual fact, they're just ripping you off. Now, I don't know exactly how widespread this is down here where I live, nor how common this might be in other countries, but I do know some places have rules about what's called price establishment. And what that means is that retailers have to have had products at a certain price for a determined period of time before they can legally claim that it's been reduced. Now here, those rules are pretty loosey-goosey to say the least. In fact, it's a bit of a stretch to even call it a rule, really. But be that as it may, the best thing you can really do here is to say switched on again and stay focused. Don't just chuck things into your cart or your basket willy-nilly without taking a proper look at the ticket on the shelf. You might even find situations where the product was never at the higher price that's being claimed. That too happened in a case that hit the news down here recently. Now, whether it's part of an orchestrated campaign of deceit or just a cock-up, if you're paying attention and you have some sense of what you normally pay for things, then you'll generally be less likely to get caught out. This, however, is pretty sneaky stuff. So 9 out of 10 there, and it's also kind of tough to spot unless they leave the old price tag on the shelf too. So an 8 for detection, which gives us a whopping 17 out of 20 overall for this sneaky tactic. And that brings us to the 7th and final sneaky grocery tactic on today's list. And that's when the bigger pack isn't better value. Now, I'm not entirely convinced this is a tactic at all, really, so much as just a balls up. But nevertheless, it does happen from time to time. Typically speaking, of course, you'd expect to pay a lower unit price for buying a larger amount of something, right? Common sense. Such as in these examples. But it doesn't always work that way. This is one such instance, spotted by a shopper down here and picked up by the media. You would, of course, expect the larger box on the right to offer better value for money, when in fact, you could be buying 3 of the smaller boxes on the left and still be paying less. Pay attention in particular to how the small box is on a half price offer, because when they do that on a smaller box or jar, that's exactly when you might be better off going for that option. Another one here from the US, not strictly a bigger pack, better value example, but you would probably still expect at the very least to be paying no more for these 2 bottles sold as a set. In fact, set on the left was going for $1 more than if you bought the 2 bottles on the right separately. Now, as far as tactics to combat this are concerned, as I said a few times in this video already, the number one thing you can do really is to concentrate and stay focused on what you're picking up off the shelf every time you do your groceries. Another reason why you don't bring your kids. Beyond that, always, always, always shop by unit price, not by the pack price. And last but not least, this goes for all of these tactics. Don't assume that they've got your back or your best interests at heart, because whilst they might, and you might argue they should, there is no guarantee about that in this cutthroat world in which we live. So scoring this one, it's a 3 for connivance, because it's more daft really than duplicitous, and I'm going to go for a 3 for detection as well, because the information you need is probably available on the shelf, on the tickets, and all you got to do is read it. So 6 out of 20 overall. So there you have it, folks. 7 sneaky or not so sneaky tactics the grocery chains use to get you spending more. And that means top of the scheming pile are those promotions that aren't really promotions at all, because they jacked up the prices to make it look like a good deal. Now, if you disagree, if you've seen other stuff out there, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Remember as well to like this video if you liked it, and if you loved it, do please subscribe to my channel so you will never miss out on grocery savings advice. Take care.